we could be feeding all of the poor with cheese. Yes, not only is the earth actually flat, but the moon really is made of cheese. Rejoice. Imagine the sandwiches. Yeah, a guy contacted me and said, you know him, but I'm just going to keep his name out of it for a minute. He told me that only smart people were looking into this, and I didn't say a thing. But, I don't know. Let's go on to this flat earth thing. Presumptuous little monkeys and donkeys that are out there. One of whom, actually, I'm quite fond of. He's like, you are mocking me again. It's like, you're damned right, I'm mocking you again. And this comes from, well, let's just read this. Mr. Wells, we have canceled our membership. It would seem that you have been contacted by your listeners to investigate or do a show about flat earth. The Bible is full of scriptures teaching that the earth is immovable and enclosed. It should be enough for you to investigate. With a short commentary from you on the other night show, you've made it clear you have done no research and have no interest in doing any. We have very much enjoyed the shows and have learned a lot, but are brokenhearted by this. We just want to know truth, and we feel that you are that closed-minded that we won't be getting truth anymore from you. Oh, Miss Barbie, seriously. Are you feeling a little blessé sur les croupions? Don't the French have a lovely way of putting things? That's actually French for butt hurt. All right, now let me explain something to you. Isaiah 11:12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Revelation 7:1, and after these things I saw four angels standing on the four corners of the earth, holding the four winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. Job 11:9, the measure thereof is longer than the earth and broader than the sea. Job 28:24, for he looketh to the ends of the earth and seeth under the whole heaven. Job 37:3, he directeth it under the whole heaven, and his lightning unto the ends of the earth. Job 38:13, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it. Jeremiah 16:19, O Lord, my strength and my fortress and my refuge, in the day of affliction the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. Daniel 4:11, the tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the sight thereof to the end of all the earth. Matthew 4:8, again the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and sheweth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. So if you're going to accept that there are four corners, like the four corners up in New Mexico, you know, the four corners, are you also prepared to see a literal angel standing there holding the wind? Are you familiar with the term allegory? I think I can best explain it to you this way. Another passage from Job 38:4-6. Where wast thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare, if thou hast understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof, if thou knowest? Or who hath stretched the line upon it? Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? In other words, God did all these things, and you know nothing of the creation of the earth. Now, here's something else. I'm using the words, you know nothing of the earth. Let's see. Oh, here we go. This is a beautiful one. If the new high-altitude balloons can't see the curvature of the earth from the camera on board, then you definitely cannot see it from an airplane unless you happen to be high or drunk. Ooh, you sound like you speak from experience. The fact of the matter is, if you yourself, I think that's the same thing, have not been to at least lower orbit, then you cannot say for certain that the earth is round. GPS is nothing but tower triangulation. Maybe, perhaps, just investigate the theory before you go putting it down. Maybe, just maybe, they want us to feel like we are out in the middle of nowhere so that some people can think we have been forgotten by God. The Bible even refers to the earth being an eternal plane. And I know how much you believe in the Bible. I listen to your show every day. We're going to roll something for you. And we're neither high nor drunk, at least not yet, although some of these emails could drive us to it, but we have strength. Oh, look. Wow. What do you know? And what's this guy doing? He looks high and drunk. Hell, he's got a damn bong fastened onto his face. Look. Yeah, see that? If you're watching the program rather than just listening, you can see clearly the curvature of the earth. He's way up yonder. What do you figure, 60,000 feet? Yeah, at least. And right there, oh, look. Well, it's probably just the lens. No, it's not. Now let me explain something to you. Seriously. As far as GPS just being tower triangulation, you know nothing of GPS. Do you know how many satellites it takes to get a true three-dimensional awareness of your position? Let me explain it to you. GPS measures the distance between you and the satellites to find your position. If you had only one satellite, the locus of distance is a sphere. Now what is locus? Locus is the place where something is situated or occurs, site or location. In geometry, the set of all points, and only those points, that satisfy certain conditions. If you had two satellites, the locus of distance from both would be a circle on that sphere. Globe. If you had three satellites, the locus of distance from all three would be 2 points on that circle. You need a fourth satellite to distinguish between those last 2 points. So, since most people ignore attitude, the surface of the Earth provides the necessary fourth sphere in two-dimensional applications, meaning you generally need only 3 satellites for most navigational problems. However, for true 3D, you need 4. Now, are we done here? If we do a Flat Earth program, it will air on April Fool's Day or night. And so there, here endeth the lesson. If you want any more, bleep's sakes, read a book. All right. No, look, it's cool. I understand you're interested in these things, but it's silly. Flat Earth theory. Oh. You know, it's funny. When people want to satisfy themselves with some ludicrous concept like this, they'll go to the Bible and say, well, the Bible says. But then in the next conversation they have, they'll go into how, oh, well, it's all poetry and metaphor and all this rubbish. And it's like, think of it this way. If you're saying the ends of the earth, well, what if the allegory was really meant to be there are no flat plane ends of the earth? If it's a sphere, then it means everything. There are no ends. It means infinity. Okay, are we good? All right, swell. All right, fantastic. I love it. I guess that's because the earth is flat.
Oh, no, don't get me started. No.
I want to get you started. Go ahead, tell me.
No, oh, that's terrible.
It always says in the Bible the earth is flat.
No, I know.
Only smart people, only wise people are really wise people. They're the only ones that are wise to this, and it's going to change everything. Don't tell me that you're one of those round earth people.
John, it is, you are torturing, this is...
Wait a minute.
You are torturing me.
I know. I'm kidding you.
Oh, this is terrible. I mean, seriously. No, I mean, okay. All right. Look, I mean, guys, to those of you that believe that the earth is flat. I have readers. I have readers who believe that the earth is flat. I was actually challenged by this, and these are lovely, wonderful people.
Yes.
Truly. And I cherish their attempts to change my mind. Seriously. And I understand even, and this is an interesting thing, because these flat earthers, and I know that we disparage and we laugh, and I'm just sitting here and I go like, I can't believe it. But look, guys, all right, there comes a point in time when you have to believe something. Okay, I have flown around the world twice, 2 times.
Yeah.
I have looked out the window while I was doing it. The earth is round.
Wait a minute, were you high or drunk? That's what somebody in an email suggested.
No,
you were high, but you were high on the real thing known as altitude.
Yeah, altitude. Yep. But look, let me put it another way. Okay, here's some evidence that you can trust. If you need something to trust, and I know, I mean, they do kind of want to know to prove one way or the other. Here's some evidence that you can trust. During World War II, when they were calculating range tables for long-range artillery, they had to calculate this artillery to shoot over the horizon
and compensate for the rotation of the Earth.
And yes, and the curvature of the Earth. It's like you ask someone who would sail ships at that time, where you could see the top of the masts of these ships before you actually saw the ship itself. It wasn't an issue of being obscured by distance, but the curvature of the Earth itself. Please, people, if you believe in it, I mean, I'm just sitting here. But the thing is this. Look, it is an allegory of the challenge that we have of certain people with these theories about reality that do not conform with what is real. And everybody's got this. And it's an interesting problem. It is the socialists and the liberals, they've got their flat earthers also. You can prove to them beyond the shadow of the doubt that you can't get people to work together for the betterment of the whole unless you give them some sort of self-interested encouragement. Socialism doesn't work, but it doesn't matter because they're flat earthers. Mm-hmm. Socialists are flat earthers.
Yes.
And the same thing goes for the people around us that refuse to believe the evidence that economic collapse is rolling down upon us because they also are flat earthers. Oh, I just can't. It's just...
You know what?
Flat earth.
All right. That was a priceless reaction. It really was.
I mean, seriously, I just sit here and I can't handle it. You are not a nice person for bringing up the subject. You really are.
Now they're fixated on the flat earth. It's incontrovertible proof. It's the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like, quit smoking that dope, okay? Stop smoking that dope. It doesn't agree with you. Have you ever seen an eclipse? Do you see a flat line starting to cover the sun? I mean, what do you see? No, you don't see that at all. Well, you do sometimes. You know, may they be blessed and enlightened, but you have people who really are entertaining an idea that was abandoned at about 300 A.D., with the exception of the church, that the earth is flat. Now, how in the hell do you talk to people? It's 2015, and you see there's...
Yeah, I know, and they're still talking about the flat earth. I can't believe it.
Well,
yeah. Well, here's the deal. It probably is flat, and we haven't figured it out yet.
Now, this will be 6 out of the 7 shows. Somebody keeps telling me I'm really missing the boat on this flat Earth thing? I'm just curious. Does an ex-CIA officer and the author of geoengineeringwatch.org, do you subscribe to the flat Earth theory?
No.
Okay. Come on, you're hedging. Now, another thing that people are all alight about. Oh, and some of them are very heavily invested in this, and their feelings are hurt. Some have threatened to quit the Caravan because that John Wells, that arrogant, self-righteous individual, simply will not take a serious look at the flat Earth theory. Oh. Well, you have to respond to your audience if you care about them. And some people out there really do care very deeply about this. So, and we're not going to move somebody out of the way who's been scheduled for 3 weeks or even longer. We do that to accommodate their schedules, not just ours. If they say no, well, then our schedule doesn't get accommodated, does it? So we have to kind of roll with them. But anyway, we'll put together something for you, and we will... What is it? Condemnation without investigation is just ignorance. Einstein said that? Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. You can quote Einstein. Can you work any of his equations? That's a good one, isn't it? I want you to look something up between now and the time we address this, whenever it is. And it's called the Coriolis effect. Coriolis. Now, I'll read a little something for you. We learned about this in primary flight training. Coriolis effect is an inertial force described by the 19th century French engineer-mathematician Gustave Gaspard Coriolis in 1835. Coriolis showed that if the ordinary Newtonian laws of motion of bodies are to be used in a rotating frame of reference, an inertial force acting to the right of the direction of body motion for counterclockwise rotation of the reference frame, or to the left for clockwise rotation, must be included in the equations of motion. The effect of the Coriolis force is an apparent deflection of the path of an object that moves within a rotating coordinate system. The object does not actually deviate from its path, but it appears to do so because of the motion of the coordinate system. The Coriolis effect is most apparent in the path of an object moving longitudinally. On the Earth, an object that moves along a north-south path or longitudinal line will undergo apparent deflection to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. There are two reasons for this phenomenon. First, the Earth rotates eastward, and second, the tangential velocity of a point on the Earth is a function of latitude. The velocity is essentially zero at the poles, and it attains a maximum value at the equator. Thus, if a cannon were fired northward from a point on the equator, the projectile would land to the east of its due north path. This variation would occur because the projectile was moving eastward faster at the equator than was its target farther north. Similarly, if the weapon were fired toward the equator from the North Pole, the projectile would land again to the right of its true path. In this case, the target area would have moved eastward before the shell reached it because of its greater eastward velocity. An exactly similar displacement occurs if the projectile is fired in any direction. The Coriolis deflection is therefore related to the motion of the object, the motion of the Earth, and the latitude. For this reason, the magnitude of the effect is given by two sin, S-I-N, in which the velocity of the object is the angular velocity of the Earth and is the latitude. The Coriolis effect has great significance in astrophysics and stellar dynamics, in which it is a controlling factor in the directions of rotation of sunspots. It is also significant in the earth sciences, especially meteorology, physical geology, and oceanography, in that the Earth is a rotating frame of reference, and motions over the surface of the Earth are subject to acceleration from the force indicated. Thus, The Coriolis force figures prominently in studies of the dynamics of the atmosphere, in which it affects prevailing winds and the rotation of storms, and in the hydrosphere, in which it affects the rotation of the oceanic currents. Well, look at it this way. The reason, remember positraction, both rear wheels on your race car, on your Camaro, your Mustang, whatever, your GTO, they're locked, okay? And when you go into a curve, which wheel is rotating faster? Answer, the outside wheel. Why? Because the circle it's traveling, that arc it's traveling, is longer than the inside wheel. What happens? Why don't you want to use Positrack? Because you'll slide out and quite probably spin out. Okay, if you have a tire, there's the metal wheel in the middle. At 60 miles an hour, which one is rotating faster? The wheel or the tire? Now, some people say, well, it's the same. No. This has less distance to travel than this. It's all physics. So, this is an excerpt that I just read from the Encyclopedia Britannica. It says here without permission, and I didn't ask permission either, because the site that this is on is universityoforegon.edu. Oregon.edu. That's where it appears. So there you go. The Coriolis effect, Coriolis. Besides, there are other things to consider too. Why a change in seasons? Seriously, nobody after about 300 AD believes the earth is flat. But it's all the rage now, so hey, you know how we are about fashion and getting on that fashion bandwagon, so okay, fine. We'll look at it as soon as a slot opens up. We'll take a look at it. As I say, some people are deeply invested in this. Oh, they don't want Caravan to Midnight to get left behind on what could absolutely change everything. You know what it'll change? Not a damn thing. You know why? Because the sun will probably come up tomorrow. And we will probably see the moon on certain days of the month, and other days we won't see it at all. And, you know, wouldn't it be really a drag? Ghost, can you imagine something like this could be perpetrated on we the people? Everybody else gets a sphere, and we get a barge. Oh, I just can't imagine that the Great One would do that to us. I mean, seriously. But I will make one more comment. That's it. Thank you. Let me ask you this. What... This is out of left field, Doctor. But I want to ask you about this.
It's okay. Yes.
We lost about 10 members to Caravan, but they were outraged. And this is why they were outraged. They were outraged because, in their words, I would not give them a voice to discuss the flat earth theory. And I thought, oh my gosh, all right. And I mean, people were really passionate about this. Not many, but some. And I thought to myself, I'm not really interested so much in proving that the earth is round. I think we can get plenty of testimony for that. I would submit to everyone that this is a bunch of people who have latched on to something that'll get them a lot of YouTube clicks and a nice little check from Google. But that aside, because people are willing to look and give them the clicks, what I'm really interested in is the psychology, the psychological component that makes people believe that everything is a lie. Everything is a deception. Everything is a trick or a dodge or a scam. Not just some things, everything. I hardly know where to begin, but I do want to ask you a question. Has any of this flat earth stuff caught your attention?
It started a couple months ago when I was on an interview on a morning radio show, a national radio show. And where this came from is I made a statement. I started saying that I started calling a lot of modern science that comes out of NASA, I was calling it flat earth science. And I think they did this kind of as a way of getting back at me, because I'm constantly confronted with this. But basically, the Greeks, 200 years BC, knew that the earth was round. They had measured the diameter of the earth, and they were very accurate. And so all the intelligent people through the Middle Ages all knew, the leaders all knew that the earth was round. But here's what they did. They, with basically the Catholic Church, which was the center of Western knowledge throughout the Middle Ages, taught the common man that the earth was flat. And that was kind of a mental prison so that nobody went marching off, built a boat and went off across the ocean, because everybody thought that you'd fall off the end of the earth and there were fire-breathing dragons, etc. So it was purposefully taught, and my example was that that's what's happening today. There's a lot of flat earth science that's being pawned off on the public, and to keep them mentally basically bound to think that, like, for example, NASA has this $20 billion a year program, and they can't get anybody into outer space. So why would you think that you could go into space if they can't, with all this government, huge amount of money and all the scientists? But the reality is it's very easy to go into space. People like Burt Rutan did it for under $10 million, sent 3 guys into space. So, it's not, what I'm saying is that they're teaching flat earth science again today, and that was my example. And so to kind of slam me, they've come out with all this flat earth stuff. And it's just, if you look at the sources, it's just, it's planned disinformation is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. The thing that interested me the most about it, Professor, is not the practicality of even pursuing or developing any thoughts revolving around the earth being flat. What really got my attention was the psychology of the willingness to even explore such a ridiculous concept at this time. When people believe that absolutely everything is a lie, NASA is a fraud, we didn't go to the moon, we didn't do this, we didn't do any of it, it's all a lie. Everybody else got a planet or got an orb, and we got a barge. We got a giant celestial aircraft carrier, and there's the only thing they haven't gone into is that there are monsters and all sorts of stuff when you go over the edge. That's what greets you when you fall. So, don't you find, and you must have experienced a bunch of stuff in academia, but we won't explore that any more than you want to, but don't you find that people seem to delight in misleading the masses however they can do it, through ridiculous television programming or through the resurrection of the flat earth?